Hi, welcome to session 6 of your bookkeeping course. In this session we're going to be talking about the closing process. And what I'm going to do right away is I'm going to take a quick look at the end of our session 6 lecture. So let me just click on the lecture here and you can see where we're going to be talking about the closing process, but I'm going to scroll all the way down, so I know it gets a little blurry here, but we're going to scroll down to the end of your lecture, and it talks about the steps in the accounting cycle. And I want to walk you through the A through H steps that you're going to be learning throughout this course. And that's the process of 1, analyzing your transactions. So right away you've learned how to look at a transaction such as so-and-so invests cash in the business, and you've analyzed the transaction, and then you start to journalize that transaction in one of the appropriate accounting journals. Normally up to this point we've just been working with your general journal. We then post that transaction to the general ledger, and that's the individual account balances that you determine. I've talked about that as your T account. Remember how you post a transaction debits and credits into that T account so that you can determine the balance of each of your accounts that you have within your business. We've then prepared the trial balance, and you've done that a number of times in various problems. And then last session we talked about preparing the adjusting journal entries. That's where you had to worry about reducing your prepaid insurance for the amount of insurance you used, or reducing your supplies balance based on the amount of supplies you've used. Then we've talked about the 3 fundamental financial statements, that being your income statement, your statement of owner's equity, and your balance sheet. And then we've talked about, in this chapter, we're going to deal with the closing entries and talk briefly about preparing a post-closing trial balance where you just verify your debits and credits still balance after you've closed the various accounts that are needed to be closed at the end of an accounting period. So now let's go and take a look at the problem for session 6. Here's our session 6 problem, and it's Tybalt construction. And we're taking a look at the adjusted trial balance as of December 31st, 2008. So what this means is all of the adjustments have been made into your various accounts, so you don't have to worry about doing adjustments in this chapter. You can see in your trial balance your debits and credits equal, but right below that you see some very important information. Remember, your numbers are going to be different than my numbers because each student gets a similar problem but with a variety of different numbers included. So in this case, Tybalt invested $5,000 in cash in the business during the year 2008. Now remember, that's going to help you when you prepare your statement of owner's equity, which is part of this assignment. And you can also see that they're giving you the credit balance for December 31st of 2007 in this problem, and that means that's sort of your beginning balance for 2008. So now let's take a look at what you're asked to do. So one of the assignments asks you to complete the income statement. So now what you have to do is determine your revenue accounts and your expense accounts. So you can go right back up to your trial balance and find the various account totals that you have. And there you have that information. And then you can slide down and you can see the next thing is that you're asked to prepare a statement of owner's equity. And one of the things that you can certainly start to think about is what's the format for that. Go back into the book, go back into the course materials, determine the format, and that's going to help you complete this part of the problem. And then we go to doing a balance sheet. And that's where you show your assets, beginning with your current assets, and then showing your total assets. And remember, those are going to also help you when you determine the amount of your total assets. And then we have over here your liabilities, and below that we have your equity account that you're going to determine in your statement of owner's equity that you just calculated. And then over here you also show your plant assets. And so that's going to help you come to show your total assets are going to equal the same amount as your total liabilities and equity accounts. And then we have a second part to this problem and that's preparing your necessary closing entries. So you can start to take a look again at the various accounts that you have to close. Go back into the chapter, and that's going to give you a little bit of an idea of how you go through the steps of closing your revenue accounts, go through the steps of closing your equity account, your expense accounts, and then you start to close all of these into one account, and that's the income summary account, and that becomes the key that you start to think about. And then step 3 down here is you're going to close the account that is for withdrawals, and again you can go right back up to your listing on your trial balance, as you can start to see that you're going to find that account in your trial balance, and you start to close that. And then in the end, you're going to be doing the final step in the closing process, and that's where you close income summary to your equity account and the final Tybalt Capital account. Now what you have to do is to determine, did we make money or did we lose money, and that's going to be based on your balance and your income summary. I hope these steps have helped you to get a better feel for how to handle the problem, and that's going to help you to be more successful in completing this assignment and earning your 40 points. So be sure to let me know about any course questions by sending me a private message within the class site, and I hope you're enjoying these course videos. Talk with you next time. Bye-bye.